Find your niche.
Hello everyone, Christopher Dillard here with the Niche Finder. Yes, we're here again, and we are getting ready to go into episode number 7 of our podcast. We're so excited about it. We have a great doctor from down there in Simpsonville, South Carolina. His name is Dr. Leon Buffaloe. Practicing medicine is his passion, and we're so excited to be interviewing him and talking to him. He's going to give you some great information as we talk about the foods that we eat, and also these new weight loss avenues that some people are taking. We're going to talk about that as well. And also, is obesity a disease? I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll find out. And also, who it is that inspired Dr. Buffaloe to become a medical doctor. We'll find out about that also. And I'm so excited. We're about to celebrate being here. We're going to have our 6-month celebration in the month of August, and I'm so excited about that as well. And we have something very special for you also in the month of August. So make sure you're sticking around looking for that. And again, we would like to thank Told Legacy, our major sponsor, for sponsoring the Niche Finder with Christopher Dillard. That is Pastor Ernest Burgess. Thank you so much with ToldLegacy.com. As they have sponsored us and been so gracious, and we appreciate them so much. So we'll see you very soon for episode number 7 coming up in the month of July. Stick around and don't miss it.
What if you could say to your great-great-great-grandchildren whatever you wanted them to know about you? This is your personal history on your own terms. This is your Told Legacy. We take your photos, your written words, and even your videos and compile them in one place so that your family members today and their family for years to come will remember you the way you want to be remembered. Visit us online at toldlegacy.com.
And we are here again, Christopher Dillard with the Niche Finder. As you can see, this guy here in his white coat, who we're talking to today. So honored to be talking to this professional, this community leader. On today, we are talking to Dr. Leon Buffaloe Jr. He was born in Washington, D.C., raised in Prince George's County of Maryland. At the age of 18, he left home to serve his country as an Army combat medic. During those 12 years of active duty, Dr. Buffaloe served in Operation Desert Storm, Operation Restore Hope in the Iraq War. After his tour in Somalia, he was accepted into the Army's licensed practical nursing program, and he continued working across various areas of nursing. Dr. Buffaloe, I'm not going to read all this, but we do need to give the information here. Dr. Buffaloe met his wife while on tour in Honduras, 1999. Army surgical technologist, I think her name is Asante. Now family medicine physician. They have 4 kids: Dominique, Nicholas, Leon III, and Naomi, along with a beagle by the name of what? CJ.
My little buddy CJ, yes.
Yeah, in Dr. Buffaloe's downtime, he enjoys his family and working at his church. And I'm going to stop there, and we're going to go back to this a little bit more. But Dr. Buffaloe, so great to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking this time out of your busy schedule already. He's running around here in his office, which we are filming at today. And man, I just appreciate you so much. Thank you for talking to us.
No problem.
And you're going to help somebody today because I'm going to ask some great questions. First of all, this great practice that you have started by the name of Grace Internal Medicine. Now, I get that. I understand. But how is it that you came to name it Grace?
That's a long story, but I will make sure I'm short.
Yeah, make it short.
Yeah. The great Paul said, it's by God's grace that I am that I am. There was a lot going on in my life at the time when I thought about starting Grace Internal Medicine, but grace means so many different things.
It does. Yeah.
Other than, God's unmerited favor towards us.
Sure.
But grace is in It can empower you. Grace is compassion. Grace is empathy. Grace is a movement, a motion, someone moving graceful.
Yeah.
So it just encompasses so many things. It's in our mission statement to provide exceptional healthcare services rooted in the transformative power of grace. And that's God's grace. That's our actual mission statement.
So I'm sure, doctor, when you send patients and maybe you get a little tested, maybe you get a little on edge with your day, because nobody has a perfect day every day.
Right.
Do you have to think of the name of the practice?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
The name and the mission. I tell the staff, to not just, showing grace towards our patients, but I want them to show grace towards each other, compassion towards each other, empathy towards each other. I want an atmosphere of grace here for the employees, or I like to say my team members.
Yeah.
I really started Grace Internal Medicine because of something I was working for an employer, great job, great life.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to come up with something, a place like this where the team is really looked after and appreciated. You take care of the team, they're going to take care of your patients.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it? I know it's a challenge to run your own thing when your name is on it or something that you have founded.
Sure.
But has it brought you more peace, so to speak, because you've stepped out into your own? And I know you feel like what God is calling you to do. Has it brought you more peace?
It's brought me so much clarity as to why I went into healthcare from the beginning.
Yeah.
When you're employed, nothing wrong with being employed. I would tell anybody as a physician coming out of training, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
They really protect you. You're there just seeing the patients, and you're doing as you're asked to do. But when you own it, when you own the mission, and you own it all the responsibility. I mean, you look at the patients different. And plus, I probably make a third of what I was making as an employee physician. This is not about money.
Come on now.
I realized that really quickly. I mean, this is really, I'm loving it. And I'm getting chills thinking about it. I was telling my wife this just 2 days ago. I'm like, I'm really doing this out of the love of my heart, which is why I went into medicine in the first place. Sometimes when you're employed, they do have numbers they want you to hit. And I'm still hitting those numbers. It's just good care.
Yeah.
But it's a different feeling when you own it, when you have the responsibility of the patients, you have the responsibility of the team that's working with you, that you have to keep this thing going. So no, it's really changed. I'm doing this for the love.
Oh wow.
Because if it was money, I could have stayed exactly where I was.
I'm so glad you said that. It's for the love of what you do, because it's got to be a great feeling when you step out into a calling, into a vocation that you know that you're called to do. And it's not about the money.
Yeah.
It's something about when you step out into what you're called to do, and some kind of way or another, God brings the money still and takes care of it.
No, for sure. I mean, I haven't missed a step in my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And they even asked me that before I left. They said, well, this is obviously not about money. And I said, no. He said, there's no amount of money we can give you to stay. And I said, probably not. And I really do feel led to go out and do this. It was nothing that they were doing. This was really a tap on the shoulder saying, this is what I want. And my whole life has been that way. I mean, I was a combat medic, and then I felt led to go into nursing. And at the time I was bridging from becoming an LPN to an RN, had that tap, this is what I want you to do next. I had 1 year to become an RN, and God pushed me or showed me to go to. Now, he didn't show me the 11 years of medical school. He just said, this is where I want you to go.
Okay.
I didn't realize the whole pathway to that, the MCAT and biology, and I was a biology major at USC. There was a lot with that, and then walking away from the military. I had 12 years in the Army with 8 years to retire.
Oh.
Most people don't do that.
Oh, my goodness.
Even my uncle was telling me, are you crazy? There's nothing out here. All of my friends are like, they call me Buff when I was in the military. Buff. They say, Buff, you only got 8 years and you can retire. I said, I know, but God he's always pushed me, and just when I get comfortable, it's like,
come on now.
Here's the next thing I want you to do. I was very comfortable before I started this.
Listen, you're not the run of the mill. You're a very educated man. You obtain a degree cum laude, honors in biological studies from the University of South Carolina, and completing your residency at Palmetto Health Richland, which is now Prisma Health Richland.
Right.
That's down in Columbia area, right?
Yes, sir.
And then, of course, after your 30 years of experience of healthcare, You built the Grace Internal Medicine, an independent practice and affiliate partner with MUSC Medical University of South Carolina. And so, do you feel accomplished, Doctor, after stepping out, doing
Well, I think there's more.
more to learn,
No, there's more to do.
more to do?
There's more to do. I have a lot of things in more. I keep telling my teammates that. I said there's a lot in me
Mm-hmm.
that hasn't quite come out yet.
Okay.
And I'm still trying to get this settled. We're moved into year 4
Yeah.
now, and so there's some more
Wow.
outreach I would love to do.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of talks at churches and
Sure.
and different events, but there's some things that I want to do in the community that I haven't been able to do.
You call yourself a servant of the Most High,
Mhm.
as a part of who you are, and that is, I don't know how to put it in a greater. That is so great. A servant. One, there's a scripture that says, "He that wants to be great
Mhm.
has to be servant of all
Sure.
before you can become great."
Right.
And you're serving the people
Yeah.
through this
Right.
practice. That's
Yeah.
got to make you feel great.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And Christ served us. That's why
Christ served us.
That's
He
for
washed
sure.
the disciples'
right.
feet, didn't he?
For sure.
Your family. Let's talk about your family, because you said your downtime. You love spending time with your family. How is it? What brings you joy? What is a most relaxed time with your family? What do you guys love doing? What do you love doing with your family most of all?
Cuddling.
Oh man!
Honestly, my two youngest, they're going to kill me for saying this.
Uh,
They're 13, and my daughter's about to be 12.
Yeah.
And she's really going on 22.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have a daughter or not, but
Don't have a daughter.
yeah.
Got some in heaven.
Yeah. So, but they love to be around us.
Yeah.
My wife and I. So as soon as we come home, they're like sitting on my lap. You
Wow.
know, when we're in the bed, they get in the bed with us.
Mhm.
And we have a little beagle, CJ, and CJ, he really thinks he's human, and he'll hop up. I love to just sit on the couch and watch a good movie with the kids. Like
That's
we
great.
still watch a lot of the movies that they watch as kids, like
Sure.
Zootopia and
Oh, yeah.
Sing and things like that. So it really is my family is my family and the lake, which I don't go to the lake often.
Oh man, I love it.
But I don't have to be on the lake.
Yeah.
I just have to. It's something
Me
about
too.
the water.
Me too.
And there's something about the water and the word and the peace from that.
Wow.
I can do that
Do you
all
fish?
day.
Do you
I do not.
You do not
I do
fish?
not.
Okay.
No.
I think I only got into fishing
Yeah.
because of my boys.
Yeah.
I didn't fish either.
Yeah.
So that's great, Doctor. So this is a question for our medical community that I really want to hit on.
Mhm.
What is the single greatest hope that you have for the African American community, maybe even the Latino community, as far as our health? What is it that you would love to see us maybe focus on, become more conscious of concerning our health and our community?
And that's a very good question.
Yeah.
I really feel like our health is one thing that we can own.
Yeah.
We've had so many things, taken from us,
Mm-hmm.
and some things have come back to us. And I feel like our focus, ever since the whole movement in the 60s and
Yeah.
civil rights, and it's like now that we have all of these rights and we've been integrated,
Sure.
what have we really done
Mm.
with our freedom that we have now?
Wow. Wow.
And our health is one thing that we can control.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would love for us to take better care of our bodies, and there's some things that in our community that we really need to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Diet is one, and we're still holding on to to things that that were passed down, and there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with those traditional meals, but how mom and dad were different. They grew food.
Yeah.
From my grandmother
Sure
had gardens upon gardens, and
Mm-hmm.
my dad was a country boy. He was a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
That generation was built a lot different from
Yeah.
this generation. They worked. They were more physical.
Yeah.
We don't have to do all that for our food anymore. Everything is just is provided for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we take for granted that what our parents did and how they ate,
Mm.
and they lived longer, but they were built a lot different.
Yeah.
Society
true.
has changed. The foods have changed, how they prepare it. We really need to educate ourselves about what's going into these man-made products.
Oh yeah.
Anything I like to tell my
Yeah.
patients, anything in a cellophane bag or bakery box, that's
Probably not
man-made,
good. Yeah.
and the body doesn't know what to do with that. Wake up and let's see how, how the heavier we get as a country, the more diabetes. Diabetes is directly linked with your weight. The heavier you are, the more chance you have to become a type 2 diabetic. Oprah just did a special on
I was just
on
about to
that.
bring her up.
I mean,
Yeah.
wonderful information.
Yeah.
It's just educating yourself about things like that, knowing that there is some help out there. And I tell folks, two diseases that you don't want to get just because of the financial burden of them. Diabetes is one.
Oh gosh.
Insulin is very expensive.
Oh my gosh.
And if you're a smoker, COPD, those inhalers can.
COPD.
I just had a patient today. She said her inhaler was $2,000. So what do? If you cannot, so I had to get her something that probably didn't work as well, but yeah, these drugs are very, very expensive. So really take your health seriously. I mean, it's all you have.
Right.
And I try to get people young in their 30s and their 40s, because you're not really thinking about it. You feel invincible at that age, and then you get serious once you start moving into your fourth and fifth decade.
Absolutely.
And I tell people, especially diabetics, there's something called a legacy effect, meaning how well you care for your diabetes now in your 30s and 40s is going to determine how you live in your 50s and your 60s. Well, that's with everything.
Sure.
I try to get folks now in their 30s, like, I understand that you're not taking any medication, everything in your life is doing well. I'm telling you, keep on this track. Try to start eating healthy. How you take care of yourself in your 30s is going to determine how you live in your 40s and your 50s and so on.
So is it all about the diabetes aspect? Is it all about really the sugar, the pasta, the breads, and all of that?
Type 2 diabetes is more common as you get old. Type 1 is different. That means something went wrong with the pancreas at a young age, and so the pancreas is not making insulin. If you don't have insulin, you will die. So those folks are insulin dependent. We used to call it insulin dependent diabetes until type 2 diabetics started becoming dependent on insulin. So they had to scratch those names. It's type 1 and type 2. But type 2 is the one as you get older, you get heavier. And it is related to diet, and fried foods, fatty foods, things that are heavily processed. I really try to push my patients to, when you go into the grocery store, hang to the right. That's where they have the fresh produce and the lean protein and the fruits and vegetables. And I know it's hard to do that, especially with all these food cues we have. You have commercials, you have a new restaurant popping up everywhere. And I try to educate my kids. They get excited when they see, I won't say any names, but they're like, oh my God. I said, don't get excited about that. I said, people are having heart attacks because they're eating that food, And so, no, it really, we do have to do a much better job at what we're putting in our bodies. And I know it's hard. I know it's difficult.
Sure.
Oprah did a great job talking about the noise, the food noise that goes on. There are some folks that do have trouble, because why else would you have type 2 diabetes? Your blood sugar is really out of control. I mean, and why would you turn and eat the thing that is going to make it, so she did a lot of, she had on some experts that talked about the noise in the brain and the hunger seeking part of our brain, how some of these medicines completely turn that off. So it's just amazing of in that area.
And I got to go see that in the totality of it. I hadn't seen all of it yet.
Yeah.
But do you believe that obesity is a disease? Is it some of us have that disease that it seems we can't turn it off
It has to be. It goes back to exactly what I just said. There's something has to be off, because I ask myself these questions, and as I'm learning more about it myself, because in primary care they teach us about obesity, they teach us how to treat it, but some of these newer studies now and some of these newer drugs and how they work has taught us more things about what's going on in the brain, and the fact that these drugs can turn down some of the food seeking behaviors, turn up feeling fuller longer. That does tell me that there's some sort of genetic component, that's going on. There is something that's going on in the brain, and she likened it to alcoholism. Back in the day, they would lock you up and put you in sanitariums.
That's right.
And then they realize, hey, these people act a little different. They start drinking. Most people feel a buzz, they stop.
Mm-hmm.
These people they feel a buzz and they keep going.
Keep going.
Almost to the point of death.
Wow.
And
which was my dad.
Right.
My dad was alcoholic.
And she likened it to that. She said, these people some people can eat a bagel and just put it down.
Mm-hmm.
She said that's amazing for her. She said, I can eat a bagel and that's it. And not 1, 2, 3, 4. Some people start with certain foods and they can just put it down, and some start and can't stop. And they're eating 1 cookie, 2 cookies, and it just sets off this, and these drugs quiet that. And so there's going to be, she did a great job at starting. She really opened it up. At starting the conversation. Yeah. You're still going to have those out there that say it's not related to that. It's because you don't have any self-control. Mm-hmm. Believe me, nobody wants to put that much food in their body to cause them to go up to 500 pounds.
Absolutely.
No one wants to do that. Right. So there has to be something that's turned on or turned off. And these drugs have really proved it that there's something going on.
Amazing. That's amazing, Doctor. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that, Doctor. So, Doctor, let's as we bring it home here, what would you have done had it not been a medical doctor? Any other aspirations that you had that you thought maybe you would do had it not been a doctor? Did you pretty much always know that this is it?
I want to be an accountant.
Oh man!
Actually, I did. When I was in high school. Amazing. And how I started with medicine was my mom. She talked about wanting to be a nurse her entire life. Mm-hmm. And she was a nursing assistant in a hospital in DC called Sibley. Mm-hmm. And she would always talk about her time there and what she did as a nursing assistant. Mm-hmm. As children, we all thought she was a nurse, because she talked about it so much. And when I met with my recruiter when I was 18, he started offering me these jobs. And I had a sister that was already in the military. Mm-hmm. And so I would call her, like, Tasha, they offered me 18 Delta, or whatever, not 18 Delta, something with field artillery, something as a fighter. And she was like, nope, don't do that one. Nope, don't do that one. And then he said medical specialist. And I thought about my mom. I said, well, she always wanted to be a doctor, a nurse. I said, so I'll take medical specialist. Mm-hmm. And as I got closer to start my entry date in the military, it changed to combat medic. And I was like, I don't want to go to war. And he said, oh, we haven't had a war in 20 years. The last war was Vietnam. And as soon as I joined the military, Desert Storm kicked off. Yeah. And then I ended up in Somalia, and those were both combat zones, and changed my life. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, there's something in me when they teach you in your training that you have to treat the enemy combatant. Yeah. And I'm like, the person that's shooting me, I'm supposed to treat them. And, and they say that you kind of get a little angry. And the first time that we had a massive casualties, we thought it was Americans in the first Gulf War, and it was Iraqis. Oh, wow. And you don't see them as the enemy combatant. You see them as somebody that's hurting. They're human that's, screaming and hurting, and you just want to stop the pain. Right. And that changed my life. It really did. Even in Somalia, these people look like us in Somalia. Yeah. And these people are trying to kill me. They're, they're shooting rockets into our compound, and then we're firing back, and then they're bringing them in, and I'm seeing these people before me. So that training really gave me such a compassion for people in other cultures, and and I don't understand sometimes how we can't teach that here in our country. To care for each other in the same way. Wow. Yeah.
So here's a question for you. This is not a trick question. It's just one that I thought of as I was preparing for my interview with you. Do you feel like your professionalism drives your faith, or do you feel like your faith drives your professionalism or your career?
That's a very good question.
If that makes sense. Or do they work pretty much in tandem, maybe?
They work in tandem, but I would have to say, I honestly would not be here if it was not for my faith.
No, man. Yeah.
I mean, I know that may sound cliche, but I had my life changed for me on a day, July 1st, 1998. Wow. That's when I gave my life. And actually, the church that I gave my life to Christ, the name was Grace Christian Center.
Amazing.
Yeah. And yes.
That's amazing.
And it was like ever since that day, you can look at my life, and that was a point of demarcation. Sure. Where my life just took off, and And it has, don't get me wrong, it has been all,
Oh yeah.
rainbows
Oh,
and
yeah.
unicorns. And,
Right.
God, he never shows you what's on the other side. He just says,
Never.
this is, he'll just lay it out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't show Abraham the famine
Come on now.
coming. He just told him to step out.
Right.
Abraham made some mistakes and went to the wrong. And I've done the same. And
Yeah.
but no, my faith has definitely been the thing that has this whole walk has driven me closer more to walk closely with him.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, it really drives my professionalism. It honestly does.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Doctor, you said in your quote here, and I got it here. I guess it's your quote. You say you see people as people
Mm-hmm.
and not as their diseases.
Yeah.
That is, man, that's profound.
Yeah.
And it goes back to pretty much what you were just talking about,
Mm-hmm.
about how a body is before you.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if it's the enemy or not.
Right.
Your job is to try to do what you can to
Right.
help save that life.
Yep.
I guess it's just something about humanity
Mm-hmm.
that we all of us ought to have something in our brain, no matter our even political view. We should see people as humans.
Mm-hmm.
We should see humanity as humanity,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that'll help a whole bunch of our ills that we have in society. Would you agree?
No, I totally agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So the most important thing is we bring this home, and then I'm going to get into this, how we started this, and we're going to close it. The most important thing a person can do, you probably have already said this, in their life is to become more proactive as concerning their health.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that would be the case? And I mean, as a profession, as a medical doctor.
I mean, if you think about it, if you don't have I'm gonna say this: Jay-Z and Nas were like my two favorite rappers when I was coming up.
Yeah.
And I saw them in a video together, and you get old when your favorite rappers. They said it. They said health is the new wealth. And you know why? Because they realize we've made all this money,
Come on now.
but we can't do anything with it if our health isn't in the right. So I spent a lot of times trying to convince folks, hey, look, you're gonna try to do some things now, so you don't regret it later. Of course, you're not gonna live forever.
Right.
These bodies, they told us in med school, 100% of your patients will die.
Will die.
That's the truth.
We all will.
But it's about the quality of life that you have.
Yeah.
Those guys are blessed with fortune and fame, and they want to enjoy it. And so they turn their attention towards. They understand that, but your health is everything. You cannot do anything. You can't be there for your grandchildren.
Wow.
Can't be there for your kids. God, and I think people, God wants to use you when you're fresh.
Come on, man.
He can't use you if you're riddled with diabetes or if you're taking injections. And I think the enemy really fools us into thinking we're okay, and go ahead and eat that. Sometimes I feel like that's people say that's the devil. Yeah, it is the devil. It's telling you to do things to yourself that but God doesn't get the glory out of that.
That's right.
And I want God to use me while I'm fresh.
Absolutely.
I'm healthy. I am taking something for my hip right now, a little pain pill, but I feel like I want to leave it all here, on earth. Every bit of talent, like Kobe left it.
Oh man,
Kobe left it all.
He left it.
And so we all, if we all live that way, man, this would be a great world. But I want all of my talent, everything he's given me, I want to leave it here. And I know in order to do that, there's some sacrifices that I have to make.
That's good.
Health is one. Some things I may want to eat, I can't eat.
You're helping me right now.
No, I get it.
Again,
this is great. This is great what you're doing.
Yeah.
I had to think. I'm like, do I have a niche? And when you say I said, I've been in healthcare since I was 18 years old.
Wow.
It's 45 years. That I've done nothing but every level of healthcare, from a nurse's aide to to combat medic, to working in ERs, to working in the wards, working with babies in the NICU, working in newborn nursery, then working on this level, working in dialysis. So I've worked in so many different facets of healthcare. I'm like, this is my niche. I love taking care of people. And this last part of it, when God took the money away, it's like, all right, why are you doing this? Are you doing this because you're making these 6-figure salary, or are you doing this because you really love people? And I realized that. I said, man, I am doing this because I really love the people. And that was a question they asked us in med school. And they said, how many of you would be doing this if you only made $40,000 per year?
Ooh.
You know, I think about the teachers. You know,
Yeah, oh gosh,
yeah.
yeah.
And so I'm like, man, that's a thought. You know,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying I'm making 40,000 a year, but I'm certainly not doing what I was doing before, and I'm not angry about it. I'm
Yeah.
like, I haven't even thought about it. It's when I see somebody A1C drop from 14, which is a very high A1C, like a 500, 600 blood sugar,
Yeah.
to 7, and they do this.
Oh wow.
And they're like shocked when they hear that, you know, and to see that,
Wow.
it's more than money.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This niche finder here, which we started, we feel like, and this is what I felt like God called me to do as part of who I am, helping people find their niche. So there's somebody out there who totally feel like they have no purpose in life, they have bad health, feel like their life is over, and they say, you know, they looking at you and they like, well, doc, you got it all together, you making all this money, which you just said, you know, it's not all about that, but they feel like they have no purpose and don't know what their niche is, don't know what their life calling is, nor purpose. How is it? And I know you got the word in you because I've heard you reference the scriptures a few times already. How can you shed some light on helping them? What can they do to find what it is that God has called them to do? Or how can you help them find their purpose?
Yeah, you know, if it's been, first of all, if you're not a believer, and I'm not trying to, you know, proselytize your audience, but I can only give what's been poured out to me.
Sure.
You can't give away what you don't have.
Right.
And I could spend a whole nother segment just talking about, you know, where I've come from.
Yeah.
But truly, it was finding out who I am was in Him. I found my purpose in Him, you know, and you know the Word teaches us it's not our life anymore. You know, once we make this surrender and we accept grace, you know, and we look towards our eternal hope, it changes everything that you're doing, and God will use whatever you have to bring to Him. I was a combat medic and an LPN, and He said I can use that, you know, and He made me a physician.
Yeah.
So this is getting quiet with Him, quiet with the Father. You know, if you don't have a relationship, you need to establish that.
Absolutely.
If you do have a relationship and you haven't been, it's been a little cold, warm it back up. You know, reading, meditating, and praying. That's all. And that's all that I can tell people. And I mean, of course, you have some people on it, like Dr. Wendell. Tell me his name.
Pastor Wendell Jones.
Yeah. I mean, he spoke to me so deeply. You know, I mean, and so I do surround myself with talks that way and podcasts that kind of help focus me. But you want to know your purpose in life. You know, God is in His hands. You know, it's just a matter of us.
And would you say it's already in them?
Yeah. It's in you. Yes.
Yeah.
It's in you.
So first get to know God.
Yeah.
And He certainly will show you your purpose.
Oh yes.
So as we close this out, do I see Reverend in the on the horizon? He sounds like a preacher, doesn't he? Is that a calling in there?
You know,
I can hear it.
You know, to be honest, I have thought about going to seminary. You know, and I don't know. That's just something I don't know. I felt like it. I felt like at some point that I mean, because God has been so good to me.
Sure.
You know, and I want to be able, if I'm going to teach His word, like of course you want to be a physician, you gotta go to med school.
You gotta study.
And so no, I have thought about that.
Okay. And as we close also, and I guess you could share about this, there's a new venture that you and your wife have taken on, and I think it's already in the process of beginning, if not already. Tell us about this eating establishment that you guys have started right here in this great city.
I'm not gonna say it's mine. It's my wife is from the Caribbean. She's from Guyana. She came to this country when she was 18 and joined the military, and that's where we met. But I've been in the Guyanese culture, in the Caribbean culture, of course, since I've been married to her in 2001. And some of her family have come here as well from Antigua, named Roger and Alicia Garraway. And I would tell you, it's their story to tell, but they came to this country to provide a better future for their daughter. Gotcha. Their daughter has special needs. She has cerebral palsy, and they want her to walk. And she's had several surgeries. Actually, from my classmate, he's done her surgeries, and she's standing now. She's hoping to walk for her. She's graduating from high school this year.
Okay.
But her mom's dream was to open a restaurant, an authentic Caribbean restaurant, no offense to any Jamaican restaurants, but it's called Caribbean Fusion because it's going to be a taste of the Caribbean.
Wow.
Trinidadian, Bayesian.
The real deal, the real stuff.
I mean, so when I tell you this food is A1, it is so good. So yes, that's going to be opening on March 28th. And,
March 28th.
It's been a year in the making,
That's amazing.
but it's going to be good, authentic Caribbean food. You're going to see some women back there that's slanging it, You won't even be able to understand what they're saying, But yeah,
but the food will be great.
Yes, the food will be genuine and authentic. That's awesome. And she has a grocery store as well that's going to have authentic Caribbean spices and vegetables you never even heard of.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I'm ready already.
Fish you haven't heard of and seen here in this country.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you certainly want to be making your way to Simpsonville, South Carolina. Give us the name of the restaurant again.
It's called Caribbean Fusion, 1029 West Georgia Road, and we're going to be opening from 3 to 9.
Wow. Yeah. Awesome. Doc, it's been a pleasure. Yes. Thank you so much
for
being
you.
on the Niche Finder.
Yes.
Man, you're a great man in our community. Thank you for what you're doing. Not only for our community, but for all of your patients that come in to this great establishment. Yeah. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that is a wrap.